Hey everyone, my name is Emma, and my hair isn't any different yet because I'm filming this the same day as my other video. I post this on the same day too. I'm just having a weird day. Just weird. And my friends aren't here, and they're just like hanging out on a Friday night, and I'm just sitting here talking to my camera. My foot's asleep now. What is this? Okay, so today I want to talk about something controversial. And that is sex and YA. And I know you're going, oh, Emma, you're going to talk about sex and YA. Why? Oh. Actually, you're probably not thinking that because you're a very enlightened group of people who watch me. Obviously. I don't know. I'm in a very weird headspace today, so this is going to be an interesting video. So, I started thinking about sex and YA after I read Ignite Me by Tara Mafi. And I read that very recently. And there's some sexy times in that. And I was just thinking about how authors treat sex in YA. Because sex is a very big deal for young people. It's a big deal for all people, but it's a very big deal for young people. Because young people are very hormonal. And also the added fact that between the ages of 15 and 25, our brains are not finished developing, and so we're kind of crappy decision makers, biologically, and, you know. So it's an interesting combination, which is why YA fiction is so much fun to read, because young people are very intense, we're very, feel things very, deeply, and it's very dramatic, and the same thing goes for sex. And I just started to think about that, and why, how it's treated in my experience of the books that I've read, how it's treated. So some disclaimers. First of all, I'm not going to be talking about LGBTQ, sex and sexuality, because I don't think, honestly, I don't have enough experience reading it. I've not read that much LGBTQ YA fiction. I've only read some David Lethathan and some, what is her name? I can't remember her name. This author who writes, Greek mythology with lesbians. It's very interesting. It sounds like, but it's interesting. So I haven't read a lot of that, and also I would like to make a separate video about that because I feel like it deserves its own video. So anyway, and then my second disclaimer is that I'm not saying that any teenager should or should not have sex. I'm not saying, oh, that teenager should have sex or that teenager shouldn't have sex. I'm just talking about if you're going to talk about sex and YA, I feel like this is the way I would like people to talk about it. Also, I realize this is fiction. I realize that we can, things are different and they're not going to be exactly the same, because if they were exactly the same as our life, that would be pretty boring. I'm just saying that I feel like it's not realistic, and I feel like we should know that. I feel like we should be aware of that when we're reading YA fiction, especially if you're a young person and you're reading about sex and all that. So there's three kind of tropes, in my personal opinion, about sex and YA fiction. The first being, that the main female character, and this doesn't happen very often, the main female character, most of the time, is not a sexual being. She doesn't have any sexual feelings, she's never had any sexual feelings that we know of, and all she wants to do with that guy is she wants to kiss him or whatever. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with her wanting to just kiss him. If that's all she wants to do, she's allowed to do that. That's her decision. But the thing is that most people in these books are completely okay by the fact that that main character just wants to kiss that boy. In reality, society is going to throw a lot of crap at you. You might have a girlfriend who says, oh, you need to do more than just kiss him, oh, he's going to leave you, or that guy, if he's not an evolved human, might be like, oh, why aren't you just kissing me, blah, blah, blah. It just feels like sometimes that they're missing out on all the societal crap that goes along with, just wanting to kiss that guy, or, whatever. And it's also, I don't feel like it's accurate that that person might just want to kiss that guy, but she's a teenager and she understands sex, and she's probably going to understand that that's a thing. You know what I mean? It's almost like it doesn't exist in these universes. So the second thing that happens a lot more is what I like to call the brush over. Meaning that the main character does have sex, but it's seen as not a big deal. It's seen as a very chill thing that just happened. It normally happens over a paragraph, and it's they had sex, but not, not in those words, but something like that. And there's two things that happen within that realm of the brush over. It's normally with the main female character, and it's that either she's a virgin, which is completely fine, Or she's had sex one other time because the author doesn't want to deal with the whole virginity thing, and the sex has either been bad, or she didn't love the guy, or whatever. And so she's almost like a second virgin. And this is something that happens a lot in romance fiction. I read a really interesting book called The Smart Bitch's Guide to Romance Novels, which I recommend. It's called Beyond Having Bosoms. It's really funny and really smart and really great. And it seems those same tropes happen in YA fiction. So what bothers me about that is not the fact that the main character might have had sex before, or the fact she's never had sex, because that's accurate to a lot of people. It's just how it's played out. So with the virgin character, she's very rarely, if it's, I mean, I'm not talking about rape or anything like that, that's a completely different video, but if it's consensual, and if she's like, normally if she's in a serious relationship with the guy, the main love interest, it's just something that happens very spontaneously. It happens very, like, out of the blue or whatever, and although that does happen for a lot of young people, I feel like in a lot of ways when you're with a person, like you're in a serious relationship with a person and you've never had sex, or maybe they never had sex, whatever, you're going to have a conversation about that. Especially if neither one of you had sex. So you're going to have a conversation, you're going to ask, where should be condoms? Should we talk to our parents? Birth control? You're going to, like, talk about it. You're going to, like, try to make the person feel comfortable. And that never happens. I've never read a YA novel where the two main characters, and you might have, I just haven't, where the two main characters talk about it. It never happens. It's also not seen as a big deal. And although virginity is something that we make such a big deal with in society, and I'm not saying that we should, I'm saying that because of how society works, it is a big deal for a lot of people. Like, it shouldn't be a big deal, and we should just be like, cool, but it is a big deal. And there is a quote by Lena Dunham that I really liked in her book, Not That Kind of Girl, where she talks about how virginity is a big deal until you've had sex, and then it's not a big deal anymore. So it's that sort of thing. So I don't mind the fact that when they're done having sex, the girl's fine, or she's cool, or the guy's fine and he's cool, but that, it misses all that stuff leading up to it. That kind of bothers me. The second thing is that second virginity thing. While that doesn't bother me at all, it bothers me because I feel like they're doing it as a way so they don't have to deal with the virginity. The authors don't have to deal with the fact that the main character is a virgin. So, like, they're going to have had sex one other time. And why this bothers me is because the main character never cared for, really, the guy. Like, she, like, a lot of times realizes that the guy wasn't right for her or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the fact that, like, this guy that she's having sex with is, like, it's, like, the first time she's ever had sex. And it kind of, like, downplays all that other stuff that happened to her in her life, that main character's life, and her previous sexual experience, which might have been a big deal for her, and probably was a big deal for her. So that kind of bothers me, if you know what I mean. And then the other thing is that the guys are never virgins. This isn't always true, but a lot of the time they're never virgins. Think of Augustus Waters. I don't think Augustus Waters was a virgin, was he? You might be like, oh, he was a virgin, Emma, shut up. But in that sort of situation, the girl always has to be a virgin, and the guy is never a virgin. And, it's just annoying. It's very annoying because a lot of young men are virgins, the same as a lot of young women, so that doesn't feel accurate. Finally, and this is something that I noticed when I was reading Ignite Me, was the Hollywoodizedness of sex. Meaning that it's very passionate and very hot and very Shonda Rhimes-y Scandal. But the difference between Scandal and real life is Scandal is a television show, and also those people are grown-ass adults. The thing with young people is that even though you love that person or you have a lot of passion and, like, are really attracted to that person, it's going to be awkward. You're going to be fumbling, and you're going to be weird, and you're going to be awkward, and you might say, well, blah, 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 the guy character had sex before. That doesn't mean anything. He could still be awkward. Because it's awkward, you know what I mean? And it's frustrating because, yeah, okay, maybe you don't want to read about that, but I feel like it perpetuates the idea that sex should be very, like, passionate and cool and, like, gossip girly, and I don't understand why fiction has to be that way. ABC Family, I have watched enough ABC Family shows to know that they deal with virginity better than and like, having sex better than a lot of YA fiction. So, those are my thoughts about it. What are your thoughts about sex in YA fiction? Comment below, like, subscribe, share, do a dance, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day.